healing the energetics first, because if we layer on top of that, sometimes it's good, but it's like there's always stuff under here, and that's where there's these layers that they seep through, and they seep through usually when we're tired, when we're a little, flatlined or feeling exhausted or nervous system down or whatever it is. That's when those things come through the cracks. So do an inventory, check what you think regularly about money, prosperity, abundance, abundant living. Check your words. And then what you can start to do is just simply use your breath.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sharice Williams Show. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you've ever felt the nudge that there's more available, more alignment, more joy, more abundance, right? But you maybe weren't quite sure how to access it without sacrificing what matters most to you, then this episode serves as your permission slip. I have an incredible guest with me today, the radiant Tara Antler. She is an intuitive healer, a soul coach, a spiritual mentor, and one of the most grounded spiritual teachers of our time. With over 15,000 one-to-one sessions under her belt and a life rooted in motherhood, magic, and service, Tara brings a unique blend of sacred wisdom and real life embodiment. So we're diving into what it really means to create a beautifully abundant life by design, not by force, not by burnout, but literally by aligning your soul's truth and allowing life to meet you there. So let's get into it. Hello, Tara. How are you?
Hi, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I love connecting with you in this way and about this conversation.
Yes. And I always like to say, how we met. I think, like I mentioned when we were off camera, we have been in the same community for 5-6 years, since 2020. And it's interesting. I would see Tara kind of, here, there, inside of like a kind of a closed container. And we never actually connected, although whenever, you did something live or I would try to hop on, and I just know that there's this alignment. There's like your light. I know this sounds probably really woo, but there's something about you that just feels very familiar and safe. That's the best way I can describe it. So
That's so beautiful.
yeah,
I agree. I feel that with you too. I was saying that to Gabriel because he was asking my husband. He was like, "So who are you talking to today?" I said, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "I wish that you could meet Sharice because I feel the same way. You have this beautiful light and this familiar spark and energy. It's probably soul resonance,
yeah, for
like there's
sure.
this familiar soul energy."
For sure. So I'm excited to hop into our topic today, which is really creating a beautifully abundant life by design. And so when you hear that, what are some of the first things that come to mind?
Yeah. So for me, when I feel into abundance always, this is something I feel that was encoded within me because it goes all the way back to like 27, 28. There was this Halloween party we were going to, and everybody wanted to dress as different goddesses. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I'm like, I'm going to be the goddess of abundance. And she's called Abundancia. And so there was this beautiful gold gown that had a bit of turquoise and a bit of pink. And then she had the cornucopia. And I said, I'm going to put chocolate coins in here. And as I go, I'm just going to share the light, just share the light everywhere I go. And for me, abundance it's always been exactly that. It's sharing the gifts of light, which sometimes translated as gold, but other colors too. But there's this feeling of gold dust, there's gold sparkles, there's gold light. Even as an intuitive, I've always been able to see the golden threads that connect everything to everything, and the gold shimmer. And sometimes it's like a sparkling white light gold, and it shimmers around every living thing. And so for me, there was always this deep knowing that the world is abundant, the life was created abundantly. Every tree, everything that we see of living earth is so abundant and rich in nature. And so for me, it starts there. It starts with this feeling, this vibration, this energy. And then, of course, we get to sprinkle it and create it in all the ways that we want, that abundance gets to show up, whether it be abundance in love, abundance in children. We have Aria, our daughter, and then we have twin boys. And so we've got an abundance of love, an abundance of babies, and then, of course, there's like the abundance in our health and our well-being, abundance in how we see the world and being able to dream. And then there's the beautiful piece of abundance in prosperity as well. And it's all of it. I like to look at things from a very holistic perspective. So it's not just talking about money, it's all the things, because that's what really creates, I believe, an abundant experience within ourselves. It's very, very true to our divine calling and our purpose.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I agree. I agree. It's so, when we look around, like literally when we just open our eyes and look around at all the abundance around us, from the invisible, like air.
Yeah.
And I was actually having a conversation with my husband last night, and back to when I had COVID. This was back in 2021. Well, we both ended up having it, but I got it really, really bad. And in that moment, or during that season, I was grateful for air. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I really couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so that specifically, I never take for granted. I mean, it's like, okay, we have an abundance of air, we can breathe, and all the things. And so a lot of times when people think abundance, you're right, we do think of financial or prosperity, which that too. But I'm curious because, and this question is just coming up for me to ask, how do you tap into abundance? How do you tap into the energy of abundance when maybe you're not feeling abundant, or when you're looking at the physical 3D of what's in your current reality, your current 3D reality? How do you tap into abundance then?
Yeah, this is such a great question. And so everything has energy. So if we start there, and we know that every single thing has energy, a tree, our breath, the light, everything, we just know everything has energy. Everything, even physical, from our phones to a microphone to a computer, money's the same. It has energy. And what was given to me many years ago was that if we could stop looking at money as this thing that seems somehow external to us or separate from us, but rather it's just another form of energy. So I started using words like currency, the currency of energy, or currents of energy, currents of breath, currents of water, currents of source energy. That money or wealth or prosperity is the same thing. It's a current, a vibration. So if we know that, then now we can set a new conversation. But if we look at it as there's this thing that I could run out of, right? It's like thinking, can you run out of air? Maybe if you were underwater, right? Or outer space or something like that.
Yeah.
Sure. However, I believe the divine creator, God, the infinite, whatever people want to call it, has created something here where everything is renewable, and everything can reset itself, and everything is given once again. And so from that space, there's a continual wellspring of energy that gets to be utilized through us. And what came down even the other day was a deepening of this. So I love that you asked this question. I literally woke up 3 or 4 mornings ago and I said to my husband, I've always known that money is this currency. And a lot of times the world will look to the outside for the money, right? Like a job or an exchange, or this person is holding this money. And so what can I do to exchange services to receive this money, or however that exchange happens most of the time? We look at it from this external source. And Creator said, have you ever looked, like when we look at other people for our love or for our healing, there's always a falling short of, right? If we put pressure on a relationship, like give me love,
Yeah.
you're going to be disappointed.
In fact, it sometimes might repel it.
Right? 100%,
Yeah.
because we're putting this barrier. And the same thing when it comes to like health or healing. They said, healing. You've been an intuitive healer, a holistic healthcare practitioner for 25 years. Where does healing come from? And I'm like, right, healing comes straight from source. Love comes straight from source.
Yeah.
All the things, everything that we want, air, light, sunshine, all the things come straight from source. So they said, would you think then from that perspective that money would be any different? And I was like, no, I'm like, money comes straight from source. So if we know that money comes straight from source, then money gets to flow through us.
Yeah.
And that changes the energy relationship that we have, because then what it does is it takes the pressure
Mhm.
off of the world, expecting that the world's got to give us money or somehow like provide, right? All of a sudden we take the pressure off and we're in this allowance, what I call
Mhm.
divine overflow, divine allowance. And I get that it can feel sticky when there's troubling situations or challenges, or there's a lot of churning happening in the world right now. I believe there's a
Mhm.
changing of the hands of power. And when that happens, there's a churning effect. And it's a great thing for those of us that really want to live according to the light or live in our purpose, because I do believe the money is going to change hands too. It's already happening.
Yeah.
We have to get ready though to receive it, because if we have old stories about money or what we
Mhm.
think money is, like you just said, you could actually create a barrier and a block to that money easily just being a part of our experience. So I
Yeah.
think a couple things are key. We need to heal our stories, just like anything. When we want to heal something, we got to heal the story around it. When we want to heal money, have a healthier relationship, we need to heal the relationship that we have with money. And then we need to create a new relationship and a new story. And this is where it's a combination of reprogramming how our mind thinks about money,
Mhm.
our belief systems about it, but really being able to play. Like one of our twins, he said the other day, and Gabriel and I love this. I don't know what he was thinking about, but you could tell his wheels were turning. And all of a sudden he says, Daddy, money is like magic. And he said, great conversation. He said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, think about it. It's like magic. When you have it, you get to just do things with it or buy something that you've always wanted. It's like magic. And all of a sudden, it just happens or it comes. And we're like, that's amazing. And so we started having this very deep conversation about the energy of money. Like, what if we could turn it into this very playful,
Yeah.
magical, joyful, source infused thing that gets to flow through us? Then we're not in deficit anymore,
Yeah,
right?
no, I love that. You have said so many good things in this, and I love that you mentioned that you have started to use currency, right? Instead of like that word.
Mhm.
For me, a word that I don't know that I've really just adopted is circulate as it relates to
Yes,
money. So I
yes.
rarely ever say I'm going to spend money. I
Yeah.
say I'm going to go circulate because when
Mhm.
I look at it from that perspective, because again, going back to how we have been traditionally indoctrinated,
Yeah,
around money, you either have it or you don't, or you've got to get it. It's something that you have to go get. And I get
that's
it,
right.
I get it to an
Yeah.
extent because again, we've been if you're coming from a traditional background, like a traditional working background, you go someplace, you put in the work, and two
That's
weeks
right.
later, you get a check, like you get something out
That's
of it,
right.
right? And then even in the entrepreneurial space,
That's right.
but when I noticed that this has been several years now, or maybe not 10, but maybe around 5 years or so, when I started using the word circulate, it just felt different.
Yes,
It's not I have it, you don't. It's not you have it,
that's
I
right.
don't. It circulates. So what goes in comes out. So even when like yesterday, my husband was like, I was getting dressed. He's like, oh, where are you going? I said, oh, I'm gonna go circulate money at Whole Foods.
I love it. It's so good, and it's so
It
playful.
is. And when you approach it from that perspective, it just shows not I think, I know, because I've
That's
played with
right.
it enough. I've played
That's
with this
right.
enough. And so when you take the approach of play, just that playful
Mm,
approach and perspective, it
yeah,
just comes in and yeah, it goes out. But that's the nature, just like the water. The tide comes
that's
in,
right. And our
tide goes
breath.
out. Our breath goes in and
Mhm,
out. Money goes
mhm,
in and out. So
mhm.
but for those that are listening and you're like, well, that's different. Awesome. So glad that you're having like this level of awareness. But I do want to just really encourage or really invite everyone that's listening to if you're feeling maybe some constriction around money, then play with it
Yeah,
from the lens of circulate it. Don't go spend
that's
it.
right.
Quote, I'm doing air quotes for those who are listening. Don't
Mhm,
spend it. Circulate it, and know that anything that
mhm.
goes out must come in. It's the law of nature. It doesn't not work.
That's right. And to
Yeah.
play with the relationship idea, like if we want to have a beautiful relationship with anyone, right? Anyone, we would give love, we would receive love. There'd be this dance, this back and
Mhm.
forth dance. And that's why I love the word circulate too, because it is that infinite flow. You're
Yeah.
activating certain energies by the words that you use. And I'm a big advocate. I don't know where this came from or how or why. I just remember being really young and I'd pick up like Egyptian books and I would just know what they meant. I've never been taught about Egyptian hieroglyphs,
Oh
but
my
I've always
gosh.
had this thing for symbols and words.
Yeah.
And even when I was in like 18, 19, I sat with a lot of people who talked about where the English language got created from and how there were certain words that were used against us and certain words that were for us. And I just like, my whole world opened up. So I'm very, very conscious and mindful as to the words that I use because every word has an energy.
Oh yeah.
And so if you say something like spent, just think about that for a second, like feel it in your
Feels
body. You can feel
constricted.
it's like,
Yeah.
"Bleh," like you feel
Yeah.
like you're in this deficit automatically. So
Right.
just even replacing little things like that, like even investment or circulating, they're
Mhm.
higher energy words, which will rewrite, it'll reprogram how you think about money, for example, or even just change the word. If money has a sting to it, then pick another word like prosperity, wealth, abundance, flow, currency, something like that, right? That
Yeah.
changes the energy because energy will always speak first. It'll always tell you
Always.
what's going on.
It's for
Always.
sure, for sure. I have got to go back to something because I could have sworn I just heard you say in 1819 when I was having a conversation. Did you say that?
Oh, when I was 18 or 19.
Oh,
That
I'm
could
like,
be. I mean,
okay,
past lives,
wait a
I've made
minute.
like
Gotcha.
how
When you were
many years has
18 or
this girl
19.
been on the planet? Yeah, yeah. When I was 18 or 19, yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, got it. Okay, because I was like, wait a minute, did we just like time travel? What just happened
Yeah,
here?
yeah, possible. It's very possible.
Hey, we were gonna have a whole conversation about it. So when you think about Tara, like for high achieving women, that's who's
Mhm,
listening to this podcast, right? I mean, you're a high achieving woman, I'm a achieving woman. But for specifically high achieving women that are in healthcare, and
yeah,
coaching, like they've transitioned from
mhm,
the traditional healthcare model. They've transitioned into like holistic health or functional medicine.
mm,
They have coaching businesses, that type of thing. Where do you see us resisting abundance the most?
mm. I would say it's in our workhorse patterning, for
Yeah.
those of us like there's a couple things. I was in the holistic healthcare industry, but I also studied healthcare when I was in university and I thought I was going to become a nurse, a doctor, a physiotherapist, a massage therapist. And then the whole world of holistic health opened up. And I even worked at the Ministry of Health in Canada. And so I got to
Oh,
see the behind the scenes. I worked as a nurse's aide. I did a lot of things in the healthcare industry in all different sectors. And what I saw in all of those was that there was this deep, deep desire to make a change, to make a difference. And that can be beautiful. And there's a little catch sometimes where sometimes we feel responsible for someone else in
mhm.
our hands, right? Like I'm responsible to do the right thing. And I get that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it can have a little catch sometimes where there's an overextension, right?
Mhm.
And there's always a sweet balance between receiving and then giving. And I always find that when the receiving gets to come from divine source, and this is why I think it's always great for any practitioner, even my doctor from back in the day in Toronto, she came and studied Reiki with me because she found herself just naturally wanting to help people. And she said, I can't really talk about Reiki, but I know it exists. And I'd like to get attuned so that when I'm working with my patients, it's just coming through, especially
Yeah.
because you work with women. She said, when they get PAPs and things like that, they're really nervous. And a lot of them have had some traumatic things happen and I can feel it. And it's not within my scope of practice, right?
Right.
But she
Mhm.
said, I also want to be able to bring that in. And so even in learning that, she learned how to have things move through, right?
Mhm.
Have light and energy and healing move through her, which then takes a feeling of pressure that I have to fix this situation and
Yeah.
instead allow, the
Oh,
divine or light energy to move through, which then created these miraculous healings in her office when they were coming for something very practical. So that's,
yeah.
I would say, like a big one. The second one is this workhorse because that system, like I remember when we would do night shifts, oh my gosh, they were horrific.
Yeah.
But you'd strengthen up, you'd figure out a way to
Yeah.
get through that and do night shifts. So we take on this energy of being able to like plow through, right? That
Mhm.
we can just go, we can go, we can go. And high achieving women have this, right? We manage the kids, we homeschool, we're running businesses, we've got all the things. And we're like, I can go, I can go, I can go, I can go, I can go. And we've got this workhorse engine running. And that we can do that for a long time until the body then goes. That's
Yep.
it. That's it. Like you got to slow down.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've learned over time is I've had to really make peace with my energy and my seasons and cycles, the way my energy flows, because
Mhm.
I've noticed a correlation between when I am driving something as opposed to naturally, this is part of the flow. The abundance is always there when I'm in a natural state.
Yeah.
When I'm pushing or over pushing, overdoing, over
Over
giving, over
efforting, over. Yep.
exerting,
Yep.
it's almost like someone turns off the faucet to the abundance and then things get really tight and constrained and
Yeah.
restricted. And I feel it. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And that was
Yeah.
always my indicator that this is your time to go
This-
rest. You have to nourish and chill and relax and come back
yeah.
to your natural energy flow.
Right.
So that's one to watch out for.
No, this is so good, Tara, because I always say this, and this is how I always know when things, when I'm getting to be just out of alignment with what it is that I really, truly
Yeah.
desire, is I start to feel constrained and constricted,
Yeah.
and I feel like someone turned off the nozzle, and then I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
wait a minute, and again, that's my opportunity to go recalibrate and say,
That's
okay,
right.
where can I bring this back into alignment, and then miraculously everything flows again. So
That's
I think
right.
it's important, and here's the thing: we haven't really been taught that,
I know.
and I think it's just really important to just bring that awareness in. If you feel like you just know something's not right, you may not be able to articulate what it
100%.
is, but you know that you know, right? Because you're
Mhm.
not feeling your best, you're not feeling like yourself, you're not feeling, there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that you might not be feeling. And so it's an opportunity for us now to kind of, okay, check back
Mhm.
in, rest. I always say rest is not earned. Rest is part of the strategy, right?
It's necessary. It's
It
essential.
it is absolutely essential.
Mhm.
And so to
Mhm.
rest and to get with yourself and really assess, okay, where am I out of integrity with myself? Where am I
Yes.
out of integrity with my, whether it's my beliefs, whatever, where are you out of integrity?
Mm.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
that's why you're feeling that
Absolutely.
off, that offness. You can't, like I
That's
said,
right.
even if you can't articulate it, that's why you're
Yeah.
feeling off, because something is out of integrity with you. And the beautiful
100%.
thing is you get to fix it.
Yes, and when you
Yeah.
come back into that flow, like when all of a sudden you receive, and I remember creators saying this to me many years ago. They said, and many of you probably hear this, give and receive, right? Like we're taught
Yeah,
this, right?
right.
Give and receive. And creators said, not for women. They
Mm,
said women are meant to receive first. We fill up and then we naturally allow an overflow effect, which isn't robbing us of our energy, but there's a natural overflow.
yeah.
And if you can always come back and receive first, then the natural overflow takes place. You're going to be well taken care of. You're not going to feel depleted or burnt out. And the coolest thing is, a lot of people talk about collapsing time.
Mhm.
Time really does get to collapse when you're moving energy or creating something from a very well rested space. All of a sudden, the ideas drop in and
Oh,
you know
yeah.
exactly what to do. You're clear minded. You're not scattered in 1,000 different places. And you're like, this is the go, let's go. And all of a sudden, magic happens. And you're like, that was so easy. Right. And it
That's
usually
and
came
that's when you
because,
know.
right? That's right. It was so
That's
easy and fun.
that's it.
Mhm.
That's it. Yeah, I love that. People always ask, and I share this very openly. Like, I don't usually start my day till about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I am refilling my cup. I am
Yeah.
meditating. I am praying. I am journaling. I am walking. I get the best downloads when I'm outside walking. It was 40 something
Yeah.
degrees this morning, so I was bundled up. Um, but I absolutely have to have that spacious, and this is just something I have come to learn about myself. I
Mhm.
absolutely have to have that spaciousness in my calendar, because
Yeah.
that's when I can receive, not that I'm not receiving all of the
Yeah.
times, but I can receive and then actually do something with it. How many times do we receive an idea or whatever, we're like, oh, okay, I don't have time to handle that right now, I'm going to put it in my back
Mhm.
pocket. And it's like, no,
Mhm.
if it was meant to be saved for later, he would have given it to you later. Give it
That's
to you
right.
now, right?
100%.
But because we typically don't have that spaciousness in our calendar, and we've been taught to like
Yes.
go, 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 we have no
Mhm.
room to create,
That's
right?
right.
And we
And
just
then
get in
that's where
this
it doesn't feel
autopilot.
fun
It
anymore.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
I
this is
know.
such good conversation. So if you had to maybe, I don't know, this might be a stretch, but if you had to boil it down to three or maybe five, I don't know,
Mhm.
things that our listeners could do to create to create an abundant life by
Mhm.
design, if you had to kind of
Yes.
distill it down, what are some of the top
Yeah.
3 to 5 things you would say?
Yeah. Perfect. I love this. Very first thing is to do an inventory of your own thoughts, the words that you use, and how you feel when it comes to either business or money or receiving money. Do an inventory because that's healing. It's like healing the energetics first, because if we layer on top of that, sometimes it's good, but it's like there's always stuff under here, and that's where there's these layers that they seep through, and they seep through usually when we're tired,
Mhm.
when we're a little, flatlined or feeling exhausted, or nervous system down or whatever it is. That's when those things come through the cracks. So do an inventory, check what you think regularly about money, prosperity, abundance, abundant living. Check your words. And then what you can start to do is just simply use your breath. And as you're checking the different layers of yourself. So I like to start with my body, and I'll check my body first, and I'll say, okay, body, what are we holding on to here about? And you can pick any subject. Bring in the divine light, breathe it into your body. And then on every exhale, see it like a little balloon. And you're just, kids love this. And I think adults, we need more of that playful energy to take ourselves not so seriously. So imagine like a balloon. Kids love this. So we do this with our twins. Whenever they feel scared, it's like, here, mommy's holding a balloon. You're going to take a deep breath in, and the divine is coming through, and you're going to breathe out all the fear. So you're breathing out all the thoughts or whatever you think about that's not so great. You breathe it into this balloon. And then I'm like, are you ready? You ready to let it go? And they're like, oh, wait, one more time. Okay. When they're blowing it into the balloon, I'm like, you ready? And they're like, yeah, ready to let it go, mommy. And I'm like, okay. And I let it go. And you're going to do that for yourself. And so you're
I love
releasing
that.
that stuff that doesn't serve you. Then the second thing is you want to start to recalibrate. So you want to think about, how do I want to feel about abundance and living an abundant life and being prosperous in all the ways? And maybe it's about relationship. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's about we homeschool. Maybe it's about your business. Maybe it's even about how money comes in. Feel into what's the feeling. Do I want money to be joyful? Do I want it to be easy? Do I want it to be flowing? Do I want it to feel like an overflow? And then start to consciously bring in those qualities into your body, your emotions, your mental field, and then your spiritual body. So there's these 4 parts of ourselves. So you're bringing in and you're filling up. And then once you fill up, you're going to feel this beautiful buoyancy. And now it's time to go and create. So this is where you can get a little bit more conscious and playful. So the last thing that I would say is ask yourself, when things were really easy, things were flowing, you felt naturally abundant, what were you feeling? What were you thinking? How were you living your life?
Yeah.
What was the energy like? So for example, for me, I love traveling. Our kids love traveling. We love adventures. That's essential for me. I create best when I'm playful. I love play. I love being playful, and I love joy. My husband, on the other hand, he loves peace. So for him, he needs to get into peaceful states, and then all of a sudden his abundance starts to flow. Our daughter, she loves to create. You just give her some quiet space, and she'll start creating and drawing. And you can
Mm,
tell she's weaving up something awesome,
I
And so
love
you have to know yourself. That would be the very last piece, is to know yourself and
Mhm.
where you feel the most aligned and flowing by nature, naturally, not by
Yeah.
force, not
How about
trying
what you
on the
think you
thousand different
should?
things.
Right.
This is why there's so many manifesting tools, and not every single one of them will work for every person, because we all have a unique composition. But when
Mhm.
you're like, I create best in peace. Great. So meditation would probably be very, very good for you. I create best when I'm in joy. Great. Like, let's go have fun. I create
Mhm.
best when I'm traveling or exploring. Great. Then you want to do more of that,
Yeah.
right? Because that's going to keep your energy flowing, fluid, and natural.
That is so good. You did really good with just making that very concise and practical. These are all things. It
Yeah.
doesn't really, it doesn't cost any money to do it. It doesn't really require
No.
anything other than your willingness to
Mm-hmm.
slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really, and that might be a big one for everybody, right? But your
Yeah.
willingness to just slow down, come back to self,
Yeah.
and do that assessment, that inventory that you started with. So,
And
and
I just want to add quickly too that it doesn't need to take long. Like, I've been meditating since I was 14. I'm going to be 48 soon. My husband's been meditating since he was 3.
what?
And Oh
Three?
yeah, his mom, so he grew up in Trinidad, and his mom was very much into spirituality and meditation and yoga. So she would sit with him with a candle and she would teach him the basics of meditation. And then for me, I had an English teacher. He started talking about meditation and yoga, and I was fascinated by it. So I said, "Give me everything you got." So he gave me a book on qigong, a book on reflexology, and a book on meditation and yoga. And so I just sat and I started teaching myself and grounding in and learning and just grounding and just started practicing. And one thing that I came to know through that was that it's not about the length of time. So for those that are like, I don't got time, I don't got time to do some inventory, I totally hear you. We had
Yeah.
3 little ones under 3, and that was the biggest boom in our business ever. And we simplified. Gabriel and I were like, we can't meditate for 2 hours a day anymore. We did it 5 minutes. So I always say to
Yeah,
everybody, you've got 5 minutes.
you do. Yeah.
If you can carve out 5 minutes, it's about the intentionality of being able to say, these 5 minutes are for me. I'm going to drop in. And those steps that I just gave you, you guys can do them in 5 minutes. I promise you, because I had to live that for the first 4 or 5 years of the kiddos being very, very little.
Yeah. So let's run back through them really quickly. Inventory, take
Mhm.
inventory of
Mhm.
your thoughts, your feel,
Yep.
how you're feeling, which are they
Yep.
go
And
hand in
your
hand.
body.
If you're feeling like
Mhm.
crap, you're having crappy thoughts, right?
That's
If you're
right.
feeling,
Yep.
constricted and tight and again, it's because you're thinking those are the
That's
type of
right.
thought. And conversely, if you're feeling free and
Yeah.
alive and vibrant, it's because those are the thoughts. Your thoughts are always congruent to your feelings, right? Vice versa, they
Yeah.
go to hand in hand. So step one, do an inventory of how
Mm.
you're truly feeling, not like
Yeah.
just this is like that brutal naked honesty with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Taking off the mask, because we have
Mm.
to oftentimes those that are listening that are still in a traditional healthcare setting, you have to you're the light. You're it, right? But getting with yourself and really assessing, okay, how am I feeling, right? What am I thinking? What are some of the thoughts that I'm thinking, right? So did you say something else in regards to inventory? Thoughts, feelings?
No, I think
Okay.
check the whole system, like your
Yeah.
body, because your body will
Hmm.
tell you. You'll
Oh
feel
yeah.
constriction sometimes. Like
Hmm.
sometimes we're so busy that we don't even hear our own thoughts sometimes, or we don't catch
Hmm.
the feelings. But check your body, like go
Yeah.
body first, then go into your emotions and your mind, and then you'll start to see. I always drop everybody down into the body
Yeah.
first because
I've done
the
line.
moment you right? And that because we're here, we're living it. The body, yeah, it speaks the truth. And so if you're feeling tension, then you can go in and say, okay, well, what's that tension about? Oh, okay, I've been stressing about XYZ, or I've been feeling, okay, great. And then the second step would be like release them, call
Oh,
in the
got it.
divine,
That was the balloon. Okay.
and then see the balloon. It's a great visual, and it's so easy. It's like watching balloons just go up into the air, and you're giving it over to source creator. You're letting them go. You do not have to hold that stuff.
Yeah.
And then once you feel the freedom in that, so step 1 might take you a minute and a half. Step 2 might take you like a minute. And then the last, I like to save extra little time to refill. So how do I like to feel? How do I like to create? What states do I love to be in? How do I want to feel about my relationship, about my business, about money flow? And you call in those qualities and fill up with them. So you're filling your body, you're filling up your emotions, you're filling up your mental body, and then your spiritual body is just like, woo, I feel so good. You're going to feel great after that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take more than 5 minutes.
It doesn't, and you can't help but
Mhm.
feel amazing when you go through
That's
that. So
right.
I love that. Ah, thank you. And I was going to ask you to go back through the four components of our
Mhm.
body, but you just did. You just did. So if you
Yeah.
didn't catch it, guys, it's body, emotions. What was it? Body,
Mind
emotions, mind, and then spiritual.
and spirit. Mhm.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so we touched on this just a little bit, but
Yeah.
how do we start creating? Let's see, spacious success without
Mhm.
feeling guilty for slowing down.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. It's honor, like when you can really honor yourself and all parts of yourself, you will make space for everything. It's like somebody saying, how do you manage homeschooling and having time, especially with twins, because they're of equal energy. When
Mm,
you have kids that are different ages, they have different requirements. But when you have twins that have equal energy, people will often ask Gabriel and I this all the time, how do you guys do it? And I said, because when I'm present, I love them all equally. I honor them all equally. So I honor my business. I honor our clients. I honor me. I honor my connection to the divine. I honor nature. I honor my kiddos equally. I honor every single piece. So from honor, it's like appreciation, but deeper
mhm,
for me. Honor
mhm.
is just really honoring the whole thing, the whole life again. When I can honor everything, then I create time for each of those things because they're all equally important.
Yeah.
Creating is equally as important as business and strategy, as is having time with each of my children individually and collectively. Having time with Gabriel and I, not talking about business all day long, is equally important as talking about business. It's all equally of value.
Yeah.
It's all equal. And when I see that, then I can be with each piece. And again, it's not about time for me.
Yeah.
So even though I will, like, I have time gaps and space in my calendar for all sorts of things, it's about dropping in for each piece, because creation is equally important as, making sure the house is clear and clean, it's all equal. So then I drop in and I get really focused and present while I'm in something. Like while I'm here with you, I'm not thinking about all the other things that I have to do today or tomorrow. I'm here, right now. And if my mind wants to do that, it doesn't really anymore because I've practiced it enough. But it's about drawing yourself and your attention back to here. When I'm with my kids, I'm fully with my kids. My phone goes off. Yes. I'm with you, right? And so that act of presence, you will collapse time. You will find yourself with extra time. And then when it comes down to time for you and time for spaciousness can look many different ways. It could be taking an extra long bath, taking an extra long shower, going for a walk, just sitting. I love these days, just sitting and looking out the window. Nothing else to do. I might have a journal with me, but I just sit and I just watch nature, and I'll watch the birds and the sky and the clouds. We used to do this as kids. We'd lay on the grass. Yes. I remember as a kid, you'd lay on the grass and with your friends and you're looking at the clouds and you're talking about the shapes you see. It's the same thing. It's being present enough to give yourself that space because it's so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why I enjoy walking every morning. It's because I'm out, I'm out in nature, and my phone's in my pocket, but I'm not connected. I'm disconnected from it all, but yet it's connected to everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you're listening, you're like, I just don't know. Like this, I have so much going on. I get it. I understand. And we all do.
We all do.
And the question that I would invite you to contemplate is, even in all the full schedule and the all of it, everything, is that what you desire?
Yes.
Is it what you desire? And if not, if so, okay, great. Full force, go for it. If not, how can you start making these little itty bitty tweaks so that you are allowing in more of what you truly desire? Yeah.
Because it's all important. It's all important. And we get that. I think as high achieving women, it's all important. Yeah. And if it's all important, then I'm equally going to create time and space for all the pieces. You'll feel so fulfilled when you do that too.
So
because then there's no shortage.
Right. Yeah. Going back to abundance. Yeah. So what's one practical shift that we can make today to really invite in more ease and joy and overflow, abundance? What's one thing?
Oh my gosh, I have so many.
I know it's tough. Okay, well, you can share more than one if you want.
Okay. Well, the one that comes to mind is being able to play and meditate. Like those two for me go hand in hand. I create space every day to play. So that means just being in a playful state, a playful energy, whatever that might look like. Sometimes it's dancing, sometimes it's singing. My husband and I write music. Sometimes it's writing music together. It's just playing. Like being able, I'll put music on even when I'm in the kitchen, and I will dance while I'm cooking, because that playful energy, it gets us back into the connection with ourselves and what it's all for. We didn't create our businesses to grind ourselves to the bone, to have no energy at the end of the day and be like, oh, now I gotta go do it all over again tomorrow. Right. No, it's like we created our life to enjoy it. So let's enjoy it. So find a moment to be in joy is, I think, number one, alongside with, I'd say right beside it would be meditation. Because for me, meditation is that slowing down to just connect to my breath and connect to the divine. Sometimes I'm communing, sometimes I'm listening, sometimes it's just being. And again, it doesn't need to take long. Just find your breath, and in your breath, find space. and use that meditative time for whatever you need. If you need healing, okay, great. I'm taking this time to receive healing. If it's patience, okay, great. I'm taking this time to fill up with more patience. If it's clarity, I got to make a decision. I'm at this crossroads. Okay, great. I'm taking this time to create clarity, to receive clarity. If it's
Yeah.
a fill up, I'm creating this time. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to receive. And that to me is like, we need that.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And one thing that's coming to mind, I know when I first started meditating, and now it's been, I don't know when I first started meditating, but it's 20 years, let's just say 20 years or so. I remember my initial thought about meditating is, okay, I've got to clear my brain. I got to turn off my brain. So if you're sitting here thinking, my brain never stops, the thoughts never thought. Yeah, okay, so you're normal and you're not doing it wrong. And I think it's very difficult. I practice transcendental meditation, so it's yeah, and so it can be challenging if you're not
Yeah.
used to meditate. It can be if you're not used to just sitting down and being with yourself. That in
Yeah.
and of itself is, you know, can potentially be challenging. But it's such a beautiful
Yes.
gift to be able to give yourself just to sit down and be like no agenda,
Mhm.
no, just sit down
And
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 breathe, just breathe.
and don't strive to have no thoughts.
No,
Like,
because you will
I've
have
been
a
meditating a
stinking
long time.
billion
There's only
thoughts.
been one time that I had no thoughts, and right away I was like, "Oh my God, I've had no thoughts." And I was like, I
And
just
that
had
was
a
a
thought,"
thought.
So it's like
Yeah,
your
that's not
brain
the
is
goal.
designed to
Yeah,
run. So
yeah,
what I like to do, my favorite too, is visualization. Any type
yeah,
of, because I do have a very active creative mind. I love a good visualization to get me there. So if you're
yeah,
listening to something guided, it's giving your mind something to do. It's giving your mind a focus point.
yeah,
You're just refocusing off the chatter, off the noise, off the distraction and the chaotic thoughts, and you're focusing. It's just about refocusing.
yeah.
Refocus your thoughts. It's like jumping the tracks. And all of a sudden you're
Mhm.
listening and you're like, I'm following along and I'm listening. And as you listen, you'll learn how to come off of those other distracting thoughts and focus the mind so that whenever you want to just drop in,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just going to focus on my breath.
that's
And
what
there's
I
no problem. It's easy then at that point. But if any of you have like a lot going on in the mind, use a guided visualization. It's one of my favorites for helping people get into that zone. And
yeah.
then you're giving the mind something to refocus on without, you're not dishonoring your own mind and how it's built to run.
Right, right. I love that. I love that. Yep, guided meditation. I focus on breath. That's how I
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I just focus on my breath because then what I notice, I'm just paying attention to, the breathing in, breathing out, and then I notice, oh, I'm not thinking about anything. I mean, then I notice that I'm thinking about
Exactly,
something,
right?
right? But you get so caught because you have one single focus, if you will,
That's right.
and then but there's always like this little gap where you're not thinking
Yes.
about breath. You're not thinking that you're not thinking about breath.
Yes.
It's like this little
Yes.
sliver of
Yes.
time where like
I
time kind of just
agree.
stands still and there's
It does.
nothing going on, and that is so peaceful and magical and wonderful. So
It
yes, well, we've
is.
gone
I
lots of
love
different places with this conversation.
I
Any
love it.
final I know, me too, any final words that you'd like to share, in general or as it relates to creating a beautifully abundant life by design?
Yeah, I would just share that living abundantly is one of the most natural things that was given to us. It's like the breath,
Yeah,
right? Our boys were talking about this the other day. They said, "Well, what makes our hand go up?" And I said, "Isn't that an interesting question?" And I said, "Well, sometimes you're giving it that cue to lift my arm. But what happens when I just say, 'Get up off the couch?'" You're not thinking about all the things to have you get up that off that couch. And then
mhm.
one of the twins, he says, "And it happens so fast," because we were talking about how the brain works. He goes, "It happens so fast." I'm like, "Doesn't it?" And I said, "Have you ever thought about, like, you don't have to tell yourself to breathe. You don't have to tell your heart to beat. You don't have to tell your eyes to blink. And yet something is doing it." And he said, "Whoa." He goes, "Where does that come from?" I'm like, "Isn't that interesting?" So there's this higher consciousness that I believe is always for us, that's giving us this overall energy, directive, message, instructions, how to live abundantly. It's a part of who we are. It's not
Yeah,
something outside of us. It's within us. So
yes,
we need to come back to that. So if we can know that, we're like, "Oh yeah, my breath is here, it's available. The light is here, it's available. My heart pumps, my lungs move, everything's my digestive system's working, and
mhm,
something's giving it that code and that directive." can I also trust that there is something that's giving me a directive that says my life gets to be abundantly flowing?
Mhm.
And if you just contemplate that, you'll get the answer. You'll know
I
what the
love
answer
that.
is,
That is so
right?
good.
And just rest in that for a bit. Play with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And a big piece of what I heard you just say is trust. Just
Yes,
the trust
100%.
piece. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. Oh gosh, Tara, this has been such a great conversation. How about we do a little bit of rapid
Yeah,
fire before we
go
wrap?
for it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All righty. So, if you were stuck on a deserted island, what's the one thing, not person, because choosing people are kind of
Mhm.
hard, but what's the one thing that you would have to have with you?
Granted that there was electricity or no electricity.
Let's go with if there was no electricity.
If there was no electricity, ooh, I don't think I would need anything.
Okay.
I
You are
really
the
don't.
first person who have asked that who has said that as an answer. Tell me more.
Because I'm a nature girl. I grew up in Northern Ontario, so I'm really resourceful. So I know that I could figure out food. My hair, whatever. I got beach hair most of the time when we're down here living in Mexico. So I'm like, that would be fine. I would figure it out. I also have all the background that I have as an aromatherapist, as a reflexologist, as a healer. Like, I think I'd be set. I think I would know exactly what to do. I know how to fish. I know how to hunt. I know how to do all this. I'd be good. I think I would be really good. I would know how to like do things with rocks and sticks, and I think I'd be good. The reason why I asked about electricity, because the only other thing that I would bring if there was electricity would be, have you ever seen these Tara wands with the terahertz frequency?
No.
Oh, they're phenomenal. That's the one I travel with it. That if there was
What's it called?
electricity, that's
Terra
what
wand?
yeah, Tara wand.
I Terra wand. Oh, I have to look that up.
Such a cool thing.
Okay, I'm a gadget girl, so I'm all for it. I'm gonna look it
Yeah.
up as soon as we finish here. So that is so cool. You are the first
I'd use
person
bark
ever.
for my teeth, like, I'm just thinking of I'm gonna go ask the kids this question because I think that they would have a lot of fun with this question too.
This is good. This is so great. Alrighty. Who was your celebrity childhood crush?
Well, there was a few of them. Johnny Depp was up there.
Yeah.
That's the first one that comes to mind. Johnny Depp for sure. And probably the Backstreet Boys. I remember having their posters everywhere on my
Mhm.
walls. Yeah.
That is funny. I had New Edition all over the walls. Bobby
Yeah,
Brown.
so
Yeah, yeah.
good.
Um, what would you say is the biggest risk you've ever taken?
There's been many. Like I've taken so many risks. The top two I would say was I drove from Toronto to LA by myself in my Toyota Yaris. On a
Whoa!
whim, creation said, "You're packing up your entire business. You're moving to LA. You're following the California signs were popping up everywhere, and you're gonna just load up your car and you're gonna go."
You
And I
said
did it by myself. I did
Toronto,
it from
right? So
Toronto to
Toronto's
LA
like
by myself.
over New York, like over
It's
that
far.
side. So you literally went cross country into another
Yep,
country.
yep, yep.
Oh my
And
gosh!
everything worked out magically. Like, everything just worked out magically. It was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
That's where I met Gabriel at Agape. That's where
Oh, I
so
love
many things
agape.
opened up. No, I love Agape. It's like Gabriel was a part of the choir there, and it was like it
Really?
was pure magic. That one moment was like one of the biggest risks. My parents thought it was crazy because they're like, "You have this active business and practice in Toronto. What are you doing?" And
Yeah.
I said, "I just have to go." I'm like, "I'm getting full signal, move to California." So I'm going. They're like, "How are you going to do that?" I don't know. I'm just going.
Oh
That was
my
probably one
gosh.
of the biggest.
Wow. And it all worked out.
And it all worked out.
It always
All
does.
worked out,
It always does.
right?
Yeah, yeah. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
My light and energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
people say that all the time. They're like, "Wow," like they could feel when I would walk into a space or a room and it was just this light, like they could feel that there was like a humming, a glowing light. And that to me is like always one of the best
Yeah.
compliments for me.
I can totally
Because
feel
all
that.
this changes, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But I can totally the light, the energy, the joy. I mean, that you just exude all of that.
Thank
Yes, even I
you.
mean, you can. It's and
Thank
it's
you.
palpable even through Zoom. We've actually never
Thank
been in the
you.
same physical space,
No.
which is interesting. That'll probably change. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
I
feel like that'll
agree.
change soon. But yeah, but still, even not being in the same physical space, that feels almost palpable through the screen. So
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Well, I want to say just thank you to you. for your time, your
Thank
energy,
you.
your knowledge, just sharing all that you've shared with us, with everyone that's listening, with me as well. And so thank you so much, Tara.
Thank you. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
grateful. Thank you for having me, and I love this connection. I can't wait to see you. I know it's gonna be soon.
I know, I know. I just have a feeling
Mhm.
it's going to be soon. Yes. And so for
Yeah.
those of you listening or watching, as always, I love you. I appreciate you. And thanks so much. I'll see you on the next episode of The Sharice Williams Show. Bye for now. Before you go, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. This show is for nurses, nurse practitioners, and clinicians who are ready to practice, lead, heal, and live differently. If this podcast resonates with you, a quick review helps the right people find their way here too. And if you want to take this beyond listening, I'd love to personally invite you into the Quantum Leap community, our free Facebook space where this conversation continues and you don't have to figure it out alone. You'll find the link in the show notes below. I'll meet you there.